Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast may contain detailed spoilers. For spoiler-free reviews, be sure to check out our show on YouTube. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show.
Come on. I got you. I got slimed. All right, I guess video games are not for me, and I guess I'll stick to movie reviews. And this is episode number 165. In this episode, a new James Bond video game has been announced, believe it or not, after many, many years of not getting one. David and I will discuss. Wonder Woman 84. Wow. Okay, this one is being released on Christmas Day in theaters, but also straight to streaming. David and I will discuss the implications. And this week, we have a guest reviewer to talk about the Ghostbusters video game. David's son, Liam, is going to school us on video games and how to do a review. And then David and I will discuss the unofficial Ghostbusters 3. What do I mean by that? Well, the video game Ghostbusters, regarded by hardcore fans as the third Ghostbusters movie. David and I will discuss 2009's Ghostbusters, the video game. What's up, buddy?
For what it's worth, Dan Aykroyd considers it to be the unofficial third Ghostbusters movie too. But yes, not much, my man. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. And yes, I kind of feel like that in many ways will be the essence, the question that you and I will debate today as to whether or not it qualifies. So let's get to it.
IO Interactive is a Danish video game developer based in Copenhagen. Their biggest claim to fame is for the last, I want to say 10 to 15 years, they have been the main developers of the Hitman video game series. Now, the Hitman video game series is basically the story. It is a stealth character, a hitman, so to speak, who is put into these open worlds and has he has a target, and how he gets to the target is completely open. You know, you could do stealth. You can beat somebody up and disguise yourself or something like that, or you could just do a direct approach or anything like that. It's all up to the user. Today, this company announced that they are working on an Eon licensed James Bond video game. There's been nothing else shown except a gun going into a barrel, the camera turning around inside the barrel, and the ever-familiar James Bond theme playing. That is all that has been seen so far. It's probably very, very early in development. Since this seems to be a video game show, how that happened, but since this week is a video game show, and since I am the bigger gamer out of the two of us, but Joe is the bigger Bond fan, so this will be an interesting way of looking at it. First of all, IO Interactive is a solid development studio. Okay, they basically created the Hitman series, and they also did a game called Kane and Lynch, which was a really great co-op game. But they've mostly been doing Hitman. Hitman is a tremendous gaming series. A lot of fun, very open world, a lot of possibilities, some great scripting moments, just a very well done game. So when I heard it was them, I was curious. I have to admit, I am very, very curious to see this. This is a very solid. This is not some fly-by-night company. They are owned by Square Enix, the Final Fantasy company. So I gotta tell you, personally, I'm hyped because what was the last Bond video game? Is the one that you reviewed for my old game show? Remember that the Bond game?
Yeah, well, that was from Russia with Love. I don't think that was the last one. There was one or two. I think Legends was after that. There was one or two Daniel Craig inspired games. So yeah, but it's been forever, dude. It's been like that's at least a decade, I think, since we saw one. And I got to tell you, yeah, you're absolutely right. it's been probably that long since I actually played a game. In fact, I don't even own a console anymore. The last one I had, I gave away to a friend years ago because I just never touched it. So yeah, when this announcement came out, a lot of Bond fans perked up. I got to tell you, it was all over my Instagram all day long. Everybody was talking about this, really hyped up. And a lot of people said exactly what you said, that the people who do the Hitman games, it's a solid, respectable game. So boy, they could really do something interesting with James Bond. So yeah, color me interested.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a stealth action Bond game, some nice espionage type things. And these guys have the pedigree to do it. So yeah, with you there, man.
I do like that whole open world concept, where you're not just sort of following along, because I mean, a lot of the Bond games had been, sort of just tie-ins with films. So you just finished one level, went to the next level. You knew exactly what was coming next. So this really does have some interesting potential.
This world is not yet ready for all that you will do. Your time will come, Diana. And everything will be different.
Merry Christmas, Warner Brothers! December 25th will be the release of Wonder Woman 84. Coincidentally, it will also be the streaming release for Wonder Woman 1984. I mean, we knew it was coming. Well, maybe, no, let me rephrase that a bit. We didn't really know it was coming. We kind of thought that maybe this was something that was going to happen. But
the possibility was definitely more and more impending.
Yeah, and it's making me wonder now about Black Widow, and it's making me wonder now about No Time to Die. I know that at one point, so the rumor mill went crazy at one point, saying that they were trying to stream, that they were trying to get somebody to buy No Time to Die for what was it, like $300 million or something like that for one of the streaming services.
It was actually $400 million, yeah, and it kind of, the talks ended as quickly as they started, from what the rumor. I mean, the rumor was that the talks did happen, but nothing really came of it. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, this news kind of made me perk up and say, all right, I guess people are. I mean, this is probably the biggest tentpole film to make this move. I mean, we did, since COVID started, you had Trolls 2. I remember there was another indie movie that went straight to streaming, and then of course there was the Mulan remake that went to Disney Plus. But this is by far the biggest film to make that move. So yeah, what is it, like you said, what does it say for the other ones now?
I don't know, but I guess it depends upon what it gets. I mean, it's streaming wise, it's got some stiff competition. Disney Plus is releasing their latest Pixar movie, Soul, the same day. So that's some interesting competition right there. But yeah. I'll put it to you this way: it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me if Marvel just says to hell with it and throws Black Widow on demand if things don't get back to some semblance of normal by May of 2021. But yeah, no, this is going to be the future of entertainment. I guarantee it. You're going to see a lot. I guarantee that this is going to be the thing where, like, a lot of independents and things like that, like real, like movies we would enjoy, art house movies that we would never, we wouldn't make the time to go to the theater to because sometimes the theater experience just isn't conducive for it. I think they're just going to go straight to streaming. I think that's just the way it's going to be. And every once in a while, you'll have something like this. But yeah, this is the way of the world now, ladies and gentlemen. This is the way that the companies wanted to be for the longest time. Here we are.
Ah, boy, I tell you, it is frustrating too because, again, Hollywood learning wrong lessons. If it does come out on the same day, I don't know how popular HBO Max is. Like, if you have HBO, and like I know, like my girlfriend's mom, for example. I mean, I know she's got HBO, and there's a bunch of other HBO channels with it. I guess HBO Max is a separate service that you'd have to pay more for to get. Am I thinking right?
It's a separate thing. It's completely separate from regular HBO. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know how many people actually have this, but yeah, you got to wonder if they're going to put both out on the same day. If you could watch it at home for no additional charge, because they're not doing the Mulan route. They're not charging extra.
Mm-hmm.
So, right. So you're either going to stay home and watch it for nothing, or let's all go to the theater and spend $30, $40 to see the same thing. Obviously, the bigger turnout is going to be on the streaming service. So, of course, they're going to go, look, this performed much better on this. Well, yeah, of course it's going to. So, right. So are they going to follow their own logic saying, well, I guess we should stop bothering putting things in theaters? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what this means, and I am a little nervous about it, but I guess it is what it is. I think part of it, by the way, and when you said that Black Widow might also follow suit, I said to myself, boy, I'll bet you some people are going to get their knickers all tied up because, Wonder Woman goes to streaming, Black Widow goes to streaming, but Superman doesn't, Batman doesn't, Captain America doesn't. So I'm kind of wondering if that's going to be a talking point in a few months if that happens. I'll be surprised if it's not. But so yeah, I don't know. I'm not loving this again, this impending trend, this impending doom for the theater experience.
Honestly, I feel like what we're going to have happen is once all this stuff gets settled, once the dust clears, I think we will have a situation where some movies will release at the same time. Like theaters never were for it and they were fighting against it, but now theaters are so desperate that once theaters open up in the States again, they'll be like, yes, fine, do whatever. I just want business. There's a part of me that's hopeful that this is actually going to improve the theater going experience, because I think maybe the less crowd conscious people will prefer to watch it at home rather than ruin the experience for all of us when we go to the theater. Do you see what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say in a very nice way.
I get where you're headed. I think you're warm, yeah.
But that's my hope. That's really what I'm hoping. I sincerely doubt it. You're right. If there's one thing we know that beyond the shadow of a doubt that Hollywood is good at, it's never learning the right lesson. They do this. It is the most predictable, unpredictable thing that they do. It's always the same thing. Oh, A equals B, well then B equals C. That's their nom de plume. That is all that they do. So yeah, you're probably right. We're probably screwed. We're probably going to lose out on movie theaters, and that sucks. I just lost one of the nicest movie theaters I have been to in years. You know, the Cinerama. The Cinerama was a huge theater here in Seattle, 2 stories tall, a balcony, a single movie theater, beautiful projection, chocolate covered popcorn, delicious chocolate. Gone. It's gone. Thank you so much, COVID.
When disaster strikes, when the city quakes in fear, when there's no one to turn to, who are you gonna call?
That's your cue, killer.
Something strange.
Hi, my name is Liam. You probably already know my dad and his partner here. Video games are a bit, these guys league, so I'll be joining in since I am a gamer and I play the game rather than watch the cutscenes like these two did. Okay, let's get started. I love this game because it's faithful to everything Ghostbusters. It's got Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson reprising the roles they made famous. Excellent gameplay and an awesome story. It's no wonder they consider this the Ghostbusters 3 that people wanted. Probably. Now for starters, the gameplay makes you feel like a Ghostbuster. Basically you bust ghosts alongside Peter, Ray, Egon, and Winston, and occasionally alone. You wield nothing but a proton pack, which gets upgraded as you progress through the game. You first start off searching for a ghost using your PKE meter, which can lead you to either to some slime, a hidden ghost, a cursed artifact, all kinds of cool events as Ray would put it. When you find a ghost, the first thing to do is to blast it, to drain its health, when it has enough of its health drained, you have to throw a capture stream on it, and then throw out the ghost trap and try to wrangle the ghost in the trap. Once you do that, you then have to keep the ghost inside the trap vortex, so don't let it escape. And once that's done, you better remember to pick up your trap. Better not take the chance of a civilian picking that thing up and accidentally letting out the ghost, so you work so hard to capture. There are some other paranormal entities, on the other hand, that can't be captured and have to be disintegrated in order to defeat them. The bosses for this game require planning and strategy, so you have to be very careful, especially in hard mode. The game features the music from the original movie and some new music composed by Elmer Bernstein, plus the original story written by Aykroyd and Ramis themselves. The story revolves around a new recruit who's joined the Ghostbusters as he tries his best to live up to his potential while fighting alongside the rest of the Ghostbusters against an evil connected to their old nemesis, Gozer. The plot is amazing, with twists and turns coming out of nowhere along with references to the first two movies that preceded it. This story definitely feels like the sequel to Ghostbusters 2 that fans wanted, but could never get. Also, the voice acting is incredible. In addition to the aforementioned original main cast, William Efferton reprises his role as Walter Peck, Bill Murray's brother. Brian Doyle Murray guest stars as Mayor Mulligan, and another guest star in the form of Alyssa Milano as Alyssa Sullivan, who serves as Venkman's new romantic love interest after Dana Barrett. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Amy Potts as Janine Melnitz, because I doubt this game would be complete without her. There is really so much to talk about this game, and I haven't even gotten to the online mode, where you play as your favorite Ghostbuster and take down whatever comes towards you, or the different features on your proton pack include the station stream, the slime blower, the meson collider, and more. Look, what I'm trying to say is that I love this game, and I want you to give it a shot while the remaster is still in stores. And my favorite part for your consideration, as they call them, are the boss battles. Seriously, they're so well put together and challenging that taking them down really makes you feel like a Ghostbuster. Examples include the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yes, God forbid we don't do the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Azet War the Collector, the Spider Witch, even the man who developed the cult that worshipped Gozer, Ivo Shandor. And that's it for me, so please support these two people. They work so hard on their reviews, and all they ask for you in return is to go to Patreon and support it from there in order to get new reviews on the movies you love. And hey, so don't be a jerk. Support reviews without remorse.
That's your cue, killer.
There's something strange in your neighborhood. There's something weird, and it don't look good.
It wasn't me this time, I swear it.
All my data indicate that the ghost world is beginning to push through multiple cross portals from their dimension into ours.
Well, more overtime.
The year is 1991. It has been 2 years since the events of Vigo the Carpathian plaguing New York City. Now the Ghostbusters are going strong and looking to franchise out the business. You play the newest employee of the paranormal investigations and eliminations business as a new wave of Gozer-related hauntings plagues New York City. Written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, based on characters created by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, directed by Cody Sabarin and David Wheeler. Ghostbusters, the video game. You know, the hardest part of watching this was, honestly, there were moments when I just wanted to pick up a controller and be like, no, go that way. No, go that way. That was like the hardest part for me. I'm going to let you start.
Oh boy. Oh, this is tough. First of all, shout out to Ray for the idea. And I thought this was a pretty clever idea. So well done, Ray. Well, first, it's funny watching this. I remember thinking, I'm sort of multiple minds as I watch this, and I say to myself, how do I actually review this? I mean, it would not be fair, obviously, to literally try to judge it as a movie. That would be not fair. It would present its own set of problems, etc. I can't exactly either judge it as a video game per se, although I feel like, well, I won't even touch that yet because I can judge it as a video game, kinda. But right, as sort of a hybrid of the two, what did I feel about it? Well, a lot of thoughts come to mind. One of the things that jumped out at me sort of quickly was the level of ambition that you can see as you're playing. Obviously, there are multiple scenes that literally go into different dimensions, etc. I mean, it almost has like a Doctor Strange-ish sort of a vibe at times when you're literally sort of crossing over into this other dimension, etc. And I kind of immediately thought to myself, Dan Aykroyd, good for you, because I kind of feel like that is right up his alley. I think that's kind of where even the very first Ghostbusters, that's sort of where his head was. He wanted to have something where you were literally crossing over into different dimensions and stuff, and they kind of reined it in because he knew it'd be very expensive, and they kept it grounded, which I think was a perfect move. And I was watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, I think the third film, this probably would have been a good time for that. Like, if you're going to try to keep it fresh, keep it moving, not just sort of redo what you did with the first one, which was essentially what the second one was, why the hell not? So I kind of thought that was pretty cool. And as far as just great material for a video game, I thought absolutely. I think the whole Ghostbusters franchise, two things came to mind. First of all, the proton packs make for great video gaming, controlling, etc., whatever you want to call it, interaction, and just the limitless possibilities of what you could do with the ghosts and the other dimensions, etc., etc. So that was pretty cool. So, but there's the other part of me that was watching this and saying, all right, if this was literally a script that they were working on, and like the way the rumor has it is that they literally took a script they were working on for the third film, and because the third film never got off the ground, it became what we saw, the Ghostbusters video game. And there was a lot of times in it where I said to myself, wow, had this been a movie, would they really be doing the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man again? Would we really be doing Gozer again? I feel like as a game, it works just fine because you want that kind of greatest hits feel as you're playing. You want to sort of relive the events of the films that you've seen. But then I said, but boy, as a third film, that would have been pretty piss poor. So I kind of feel like I'm assuming that what we kind of saw was sort of the product of the script that they worked on for the third one, plus a lot of just added in things from the originals to make for a good, well-encompassing video game. So again, kind of props. And I said to myself, this looks like a really good video game. I thought, boy, that's very clever. Nice that they got so many voices back. So yeah, overall, I thought it was a pretty positive experience. Now, sitting down to watch a 4-hour-long video game, well, that was tough. I kind of feel like whoever put this together was very clever, but I would have been much heavier on the. I'm sure he was a completist. I'm sure he showed us the entire game. So again, props. But I kind of feel like if it might have been a more interesting experiment to see what would happen if you literally tried to trim this down to about an hour and a half, experience, because it's just the good parts, just the juicy bits. Probably could have skipped whole chunks altogether. But hey, again, he was a completist and he showed us the entire game. So all right, I'm gonna take a breath. I thought it was an interesting experience. I don't know. I sure as hell don't know how I'm going to rank this movie. I don't know how I'm going to score it. But I did think it was an interesting experiment and kind of worthy to check out.
Ghostbusters. Is your haunting an apparition, poltergeist, phantasm, wraith, banshee, demon, spectre, tortured soul? What? No, we do not summon dead family members and catch them so you can ask the combination to the safe.
I agree with everything that you said there. And I actually came to the conclusion about, I'd say, 5 seconds after I was done watching it, that what we just took on is not what we do. It is way outside. I mean, could we do like a show where we just reviewed video games? I don't doubt we could, but it is not what we have been doing or what we have done at this point. So the way I decided to look at it was that I was going to review it as not as a video game and not even as a movie. I was going to review it like as if it was, say, an extended universe novel that they used to write for Star Wars all the time before they threw it out. And I decided to just look at it that way, because I can't talk. I don't want to talk about the graphics. I think Liam is going to cover that a lot better than I could, because I don't think it's fair of us to actually go into that. I don't think that's really the wheelhouse of what we want this show to be. I'm just going to focus on the Ghostbusters aspect of it. I mean, yes, clever use of with the proton pack and how it worked. What I'm going to try and focus on, we're going to focus on the story and how it actually fits into the whole Ghostbusters mythos. Now, you're right. Bringing back the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was probably not, was not in a movie that would have been a terrible thing to happen. But in a video game, it actually absolutely positively makes sense. You want people to feel like, that they're doing the things that the Ghostbusters did. That's why they did that. That's why they took them back to the Sedgwick hotel. Well, actually, I shouldn't even say that. They didn't just go back to those other places. They actually made the plot work around it to make it logical for it to have to go back there. This is the continuation of the Gozer story from the first movie, basically. But it also touches the story about Vigo. Because, at one point they go to Shandor Island, and they find these giant machines just pumping out slime of all different colors. And that hinting that river of slime that was under the city, that was from Shandor Island.
Right. Okay.
So they excuse me. I liked that in this little Ghostbusters universe, they kept it going, and they made things feel like a logical extension of what we have. Now, we liked but didn't love the second Ghostbusters movie, but this was a nice way. I in many ways, I feel the story here is an improvement over what we got with Ghostbusters 2, more in line with original Ghostbusters in terms of storytelling and the story that they were trying to tell. I feel like they had a lot more freedom to actually write the story in a way that they wanted to write and didn't have to worry about notes or anything like that. I mean, yeah, fine. They had Slimer in it, but he was nothing. He was in a display case as the first ghost that they ever caught, which now that was a fine way to have Slimer included. But no, for the second movie, they had to have him running free because he runs free in the cartoon. But they didn't have to do that for here, so it was nice that they pulled that back a little bit. Hell, they even got Max von Sydow back to voice Vigo the Carpathian's picture.
Yeah. That was clever.
Honestly, as an extension of the Ghostbusters universe, I liked it. I really did. I felt like it, in many ways, it took it back to its roots. It didn't comic book or, I can't think of the right word. Remember how you were saying in the Ghostbusters 2 movie review how they really sillied up Winston and took away his kind of everyman thing?
Yeah.
I feel like they brought that back and they didn't overdo Winston in this, and I really, really appreciate it, because in this case, your character is supposed to be the everyman. He's the one that they're explaining stuff to. I mean, the only other complaint I would really have about it is it still feels like they restrained Murray's ad-libbing. Right,
yeah.
He had moments, but I didn't find myself like laughing too much. And I just want to say that I was pleased as hell that they got William Atherton back to play Walter Peck again.
Yeah. I me too, but I honestly, like I said, I kind of feel like if this literally was a movie, I feel like we would be tearing it to shreds for simply retreading old territory. But but since it's not, it's a video game. So I kind of feel like all of that greatest hits stuff is fair game, and I thought for the most part it was pretty clever. I totally agree with you about Winston. I totally agree with you about the lines coming out of Venkman were kind of Venkman-esque, but but just kind of not quite there. They were just okay. There were a lot of moments, like for example, they go back to the library from the first one, and the same ghost, the shushing librarian,
the gray lady, yes, the gray lady,
yeah.
yes.
I kept wondering what they were talking about, the gray lady, and then I realized, oh, okay, now I get it. But like they'd go downstairs, they're like, oh yeah, and you hear them all going, oh, there she is again. And I gotta tell you, Dan Aykroyd really is like he's the guy who's doing the heavy lifting for these things. I mean, I kind of feel like I feel like they probably got for every hour that Bill Murray spent in the recording studio, I'm sure Aykroyd was there for at least 3. He was really working hard. But yeah, so they go down to the basement of the library again. There's the same librarian, and like she would shh, and of course Aykroyd has to go, oh my God, she shushed me again. And there must have been like 5 times, she shushed me again. I can't believe it. And then later on, stop with the shushing. Like every time she said shush, he had to make a comment, and I'm saying to myself, like, again, I get it that this is probably like just every line from this video game, but for crying out loud, all right already with the, she shushed me again. She shushed me a 3rd time. So yeah, so that okay, just again, just sort of a weird little anomaly from a video game / movie thing. But and there were a lot of beats as well too. I kind of felt like, and it was funny because they were recycling a lot of the score from the first one. I kind of felt like a lot that sort of added to a lot of the familiarity to a lot of the beats. Like, especially when you sort of got to the end and the same music is playing when he rescues the Alyssa Milano character.
Yeah.
So that same music is playing. And I remember thinking like, boy, this really is sort of like just step by step the first movie. They're trying to sort of hit every beat along the way, etc. But then again, I'm saying, but that's kind of what this is. I mean, that's what this is supposed to be. I even had flashbacks of the speaking of the last time I played a video game, much less when they did the Quantum of Solace video game, which I thought was really good, by the way. I thought it was a really good game. And what they did was they literally kind of just said, well, why don't we just make it sort of the first 2 movies? So they took, the first 2 Craigs. So basically you start out playing Quantum, then there's like a flashback scene where they do the entire Casino Royale plot. And then it cuts back to the second half of Quantum, which again, clever. And I like that. Again, when you're playing a video game, you want it to be as fleshed out as possible, as complete as possible. You don't want it to go quickly. So you want a lot of just stuff happening and different things going on. So again, I don't fault this project for that. And like, it's funny, I keep straddling calling it like sort of a movie, sort of a video game. So I think this project makes perfect sense doing the moves it's doing, but again, as you're just sort of watching this as a 4-hour Ghostbusters epic, it can be a little tedious. Even for I think if you are a super fan and you just kind of want every little morsel of Ghostbuster you can get, this is probably fine. This is probably good. But for me, a little rough.
I can understand that, man. I can understand that. I actually had played the game, and I've watched Liam play the game, and it is fun to play. It is really a lot of fun to play. I feel like watching this interactive movie, as interesting as it was, and this entire episode you could put down as just like one giant interesting experiment. I don't know if we'll ever do anything like this again.
Right.
But then again, I don't know if there's ever been anything like this before, where you have, a major amount of the talent of a blockbuster franchise come together to do a video game version. Chris Evans voiced Captain America in the official Captain America video game. But like nobody from Marvel was really involved with that. He just lent his voice to the game. The fact that all these people not only voiced the game but also took a huge part in writing it, and it's so obvious that it's written by the same people just by the way, the cadence of the characters, the way that they all present themselves. The extension of the universe into this type of interactive gameplay, I feel makes sense and honestly works very well as a video game. As an extension to the universe, I think it also works very well. Is it perfect? No. I don't know how much. But the thing is, it's almost unfair of us to use that line. It's unfair of us to say, "Oh, as a movie, it's not a movie." That's the thing.
Right.
This is an unfair review, and there's a part of me that's almost wants to say, you know what? I don't think we should score this because there's no. I don't think any score we give will be fair because we're trying to score it based on a cinematic approach, and they do some things that are nice and cinematic, but it's cinematic in a video game world. So there has to be those moments.
Yeah. Well, right. No, listen, and I think we're being fair. I mean, I think we're acknowledging that it's that we're acknowledging what this is. It is I'm looking at it as a project that someone took all these scenes from the video game, strung it together in a way that it's watchable. And
maybe give them director's credit instead.
Well, there you go. Right. But again, right. And we've kind of already acknowledged that this is it's an experiment. It is certainly an experiment. So, and we're kind of reviewing it in multiple ways. I think it's funny. I'm sort of judging it as the video game that it is, and also sort of predicting what the movie it would have been. What would that have been like? For as an example, like you talked about how they brought Peck back in, and there was a part in this where they literally just got back. They were, I forget where they were, at the library or wherever. Then they crossed over to this portal into a different dimension, and they're somewhere, in this crazy mixed up world of spirits flying around and whatever. And then they go back to their base of operations, and there's the mayor and there's Peck. You guys got to work together stuff. And it was like, wow, we went from this crazy outer body, otherworldly experience to now being back in the firehouse dealing with bureaucratic red tape, doing politics. And it's like, wow, okay, well that's different. So yeah, I mean, I kind of watch this and I say, I see the ingredients of what the film would have been, but I just assume it would sort of be arranged differently. Again, for the sake of video game play, go nuts, go wherever you want, fight whoever you want, bring back whatever character you want. But again, had this been a movie, I'm sure at least half of what we actually saw in this wouldn't have existed. At least not in the way that we're seeing it. So yeah, like I said, I think we're being fair and acknowledging that. So, and I look, I think when we do score it, and I think we should score it, I think we can take liberties. I think we could probably just throw out a couple scores and say, based on what I'm seeing as far as this goes, and based on what I'm seeing as far as that goes, and I think we'll handle it well.
Eerie place. I wonder if this is where the collector killed the librarian.
I think that would be a safe assumption. That book she's reading is emitting massive energy.
That's your cue, killer. Go get him.
Part of the problem, of course, is the fact that it suffers from some tropes of video games. And one of the tropes of video games is the number 3. There's always 3 of something. Okay, if you're at a certain level, you have to do something 3 times in order to make it work. In this particular case, the mandala had 3 locations: the Sedgwick, the museum, and the library that were 3 focal points in the game. And they introduced us to the collector, the museum one. I forget what he was called. the conductor or something like that. It was something along those lines. And then back at the Sedgwick, you had the Spider Lady, and it's like that all felt like padding. I'll be the first to admit that all just felt like additional padding that would not have made it into the final version of the Ghostbusters movie. Or at least not in the level of detail that they did. Certainly not the Spider Lady. By the way, the Spider Lady was voiced by Wilma from the Buck Rogers TV show in the 1980s.
Oh, okay. I saw her name in the credits, and I was wondering where I missed her.
Yep.
Okay, now I get. Okay.
So yeah, you've got that. You've got the, whenever there's a lock, there's always 3 locks. It's the trope of video games. There's not much you can do about that. But a part of me wonders if there is a way to condense it into a movie, and I think there is. I mean, they did that throwaway line to explain why the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was back. It's like, oh, because in this particular dimension, Gozer will always be the form that was originally chosen. Even so it's kind of a cheap move and stuff like that, but understandable, I suppose. I think I can think of a bunch of different ways that they could have really condensed this down and everything like that. But honestly, I would have loved to have seen a sequel to this. I would have loved to have played a sequel to this where the rookie character is opening a franchise in another city. That could have been fun. But it did. Of course, it would have had the problem of the fact that we're kind of gotten into an agreement as we went along that another big character of the Ghostbusters movies is the city of New York. So I don't think Ghostbusters Newark, New Jersey would be as much fun as Ghostbusters New York,
Yeah. Well, we're going to get Ghostbusters The Plains of Kansas in a couple months, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. But by the way, one of the things you just reminded me of, wow. So apparently the Ghostbusters 2016, there was no limit to what they were going to rip off, because when I saw the part where they laid the little diagram down over the map of Manhattan, drawing lines and I was like, holy cow, they ripped that off of this.
And the mannequins, don't forget the mannequins that came to life in the museum.
I swear to God, I said to myself, as soon as they went in there, I saw the mannequins. I'm like, they're going to come to life. And son of a bitch, sure enough, they ripped that off too. Good Lord. I see, put it this way. Of all the things that we expected or didn't expect to get out of watching this video game representation, did you ever think we'd be sitting here going, wow, that 2016 is even worse? I mean, what the hell? I mean,
dude, I'm so with you on that one. It's like, it's nice to know. You know what? I think, what did I give the movie last week? A 1? I could actually give it a 0 now, can't I?
I think you're right.
So you've got the librarian ghost now gets a backstory. Murdered by the guy called the Collector, which was one of the first villains we had to take care of. Then you have, oh my God, why the hell can't I remember that other one's name? The one that was in the museum. The Architect. There you go. The Architect.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right? Or something like that, whatever. And then you have, Murray's brother, Brian Doyle Murray, as the mayor.
Yep.
Jock Mulligan, which, by the way, I have to wonder to myself, Mulligan. Are they trying to say this is them trying to do Ghostbusters all over, having a mulligan? No, I'm probably digging too deep into that. That's okay. It turns out he's the one that's causing all this stuff and everything like that. And I gotta tell you, I had a lot of fun playing the game, and a part of me kind of liked watching it. I liked hearing the sound effects. I liked, even though it started repeating over and over again, I did love hearing that familiar Elmer Bernstein music. I love the sound, the quality of the sound of the proton packs. I don't think I ever gave that much credit previously, but I just love the combination of the sounds that they use. And even the way that as the pack evolves into having the stunning thing or the blasty thing and all these other extra stuff, the sounds still kind of feel grounded in a Ghostbusters way, which I really, really appreciated. Yeah, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I also, by the way, you also reminded me again. There was a part when they were kind of battling, chasing around the librarian, and they started talking about. I guess at one point she vanished. Of course, not for long, but they're like, "Oh, I think we helped her pass on to the next plane or whatever. Help her to move on to." I remember thinking, like, I did again. I did like how they kind of expanded on the ghost lore. I kind of felt like by the time they got to the second one, definitely in that 2016, it was just like an excuse to make kind of random, baddies. Like they're just stuff that floating around, and we got to zap them to make them go away. Because I kind of felt like in this one they were getting much deeper into the kind of, like I said, I kind of felt like this was Dan Aykroyd really finally getting his opportunity to really get into some of the crazy stuff that he is fascinated with. I mean, like I'm sure you've heard in real life, like Aykroyd is very into UFOs, extraterrestrials, aliens, and just interdimensional beings, etc. So I kind of got a kick out of the fact that he was able to play jazz with this one and kind of get really into that stuff. And again, as playing a person playing a video game, it allowed you to kind of use your brain and kind of follow this thing down the rabbit hole. So I thought that was, I really thought that was a pretty cool aspect of this.
All right, man. Well, I think we should score this then. I don't know if there's much more to have to say about it, so let's give it a try. Let's score this. I'm gonna go first to make it easy on you. How does that sound?
Sounds fine.
Okay, I had a feeling you wouldn't have a problem with that. So, as a movie, this is terrible, plain and simple. But we're not looking at this as a movie anymore. That's not the way we can look at it. It's not fair to look at it as a movie. I instead am thinking of this as like an extended universe to the Ghostbusters lore. And in that, I think it does a fine job. And I see no reason why it can't be something that people would enjoy. Here's where the caveat comes in. I kind of feel like if you're a casual video gamer and a Ghostbusters fan, I am 100% going to recommend this game to you. You will have a good time. You will enjoy yourself. It'll, knock your nostalgia back. You will do good. So just seriously, take it and enjoy. As wanting to seek it out as part of the Ghostbusters universe, that's a harder sell because it is a lot of time investment and there is a lot of watching over the shoulder of this one character. A lot of that as it goes through and explains the plot, and that can get to be a little tedious. So honestly, I'm giving this movie a 6. I still think it's worth it because I feel like because of all the elements of Ghostbustering that they've included in it, the way that they've kind of blended all of them together between the first two movies into this, I feel it's worthy. And I liked it a hell of a lot more than I thought I was going to. So there you go.
See, now this is interesting. So here's how I'll tackle this. Let me tell you my final score first, and then I'll backtrack a little bit. My final score for this is going to be an 8, and that's probably kind of right. That's kind of generous. But let me explain. I totally agree that if we literally tried to judge this as a 4-hour-long movie, you're right. It would be all over the place. It would be a complete mess, and it would it's pretty much impossible to do that. What I am doing though is I'm kind of judging it as A, as a video game, and B, as a film. And I think as a video game, I'm giving it a 9 because I feel like this is prime material for a video game. Again, you have the wildly creative, pretty much limitless creative worlds that they can inhabit. They can be on Earth. They can be on other dimensions. They can be in caverns underground. They can be in graveyards. They can be wherever they please. And I thought they really took advantage of that aspect of it. I thought they opened up the lore of ghosts and ghost busting for this to really give you a lot of meat to chew on as you're following the gameplay. The graphics were fantastic. They were able to bring in voices. So this was kind of almost the perfect vehicle for this. This was kind of, I mean, if you're a video game company and you're saying what can we turn into a video game, what can we use as a stepping stone to a really interesting game, I can't think of any better material, frankly. I mean, this is just spot on great. So in that respect, props. Really, you really do get props for this. As a potential film, now again, I'm looking at this and I'm trying to sort of trim the fat, cut away all the things that I think would not have been here except for the fact that it's a game. What do you have left? You have the 4 Ghostbusters, which is great. Annie Potts is back. You have Peck, etc. And like you said, Brian Doyle as the mayor. All works pretty well. I think if you're determined to bring back Peck, to sort of throw him into the mix in terms of giving them some, political red tape, bureaucratic BS to have to sort of get through, work around to do what you need to do. Fine, fair enough, good. I hope that if this was a real movie, they would have cast somebody else, not Alyssa Milano.
Well, they originally wanted that to be the Dana character, but Sigourney Weaver wouldn't do it.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because you figure, like, how hard is it to just show up and do voice work? I mean, they even got Bill Murray to do that, and he wouldn't do another Ghostbusters movie. So yeah, that was kind of fun. So yeah, right. So you're sort of following a lot of the same beats. And again, had it been Sigourney Weaver, I probably would be sitting here going, all right. So they kind of, I mean, put it this, as I was watching this, I was saying to myself, like, the Alyssa Milano character, I don't even really get why she has to be here. And then to sort of just kind of, because Venkman is sort of the main character, I guess, like, there has to be sort of this hinted at love interest thing going on. So I'm like, oh, it's whatever. Like, it wasn't that big a distraction, but I just kind of noticed it. Anyway, so I guess what I'm saying is I think if I were to judge this as a potential film, I'd probably end up giving it a 7. Because, again, I kind of watch this and I like what they're doing, but I'm trying to think of a good comparison. There's a lot of times where the franchise goes, 1 is really good, 2 goes off a little bit, 3 tries to go back and redo 1 because they're nervous they got a little off track with 2, and I kind of feel like that's sort of what this is. Like, they're trying very hard to recapture the feel of the first one. In some ways that works, and in some ways it doesn't. So I think as a potential film, I'm giving it a 7. As a game, I'm giving it a 9, and I'm going to split the difference and call it an 8 and say, again, it was a weird experiment, and I kind of feel like the overall product that they came out with, and again, I'm not talking about, whoever put this together as a video to watch it as a film. I'm talking about the people who put the game together and essentially gave us something that is, again, a hybrid of a game and a little bit of a movie, so I can sort of judge it both ways. I think what they put together is a solid 8. So that's how I'm going to judge it, and I think that's as fair as I can get.
All right, I'm down. I think that makes plenty of sense, and that's actually a very good way of looking at it. I kind of feel embarrassed that I went first now, because I feel like if you had gone first, I could have, backpedaled a little bit. But no, I had to be an idiot. Here I was thinking, this is kind of more my territory, so maybe I'll go first just to give Joe, an easier way to work his way into it and so on and so forth. But no, you shanghaied me. Yeah, ran me over. Seriously, that's actually an excellent way to do it, and I like it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stud. Thank you, appreciate it. But I think what you said was fine. You kept it real, and there you go.
Well, but then I have another question for you, sir. Who asked you?
The dreaded who asked you. Well, I'll tell you what. I will probably simply say Alyssa Milano. like I said, I kind of feel like Sigourney Weaver leaves some pretty big shoes to fill. I don't think Melissa Milano gets close at all. And the fact that they actually left her name Alyssa in this, I was like, yeah. So it was almost like they like that they hired her. They're going to stick with it and run with it. So yeah, I think that's where I'll point my finger.
Yeah, I'm not going to blame you on that one, my man. I am not going to blame you on that one at all. I would actually put her in there as well. The only other thing I would put in was the three monsters. I am so tired of the rule of three in video games, and it just was so glaring here as we were watching it as a movie. It's like I can't really enjoy it because all I'm thinking to myself is, oh, there's three. There's always three. It's always freaking three. I don't know why the hell it's always three. Who the hell came up with three? Somebody said three, and everybody just said, oh yeah, three. That sounds great. And it's just been that way to this very day. Like I'm playing a game right now called Destiny 2, and every once in a while you'll have to go to this place, and it's like, okay, now go here. And I have to scan, so you stand around while I scan and fight off these waves of bad guys. How many waves of bad guys? 3 waves of bad guys. Always 3 waves. So yes, I'm done with the rule of 3. Thank you very, very much.
Sounds good. Gotcha.
And for your consideration, sir?
That's another tough one. Yeah, I'm not really sure which way I want to go with this. I think I could keep it pretty general and just say that I like that they had the freedom and the flexibility to get much more in depth when it came to the lore that kind of goes along with some of these things. Just the way ghosts work, ghosts and ghost busting, the fact that they were able to cross over into other dimensions. Pretty clever stuff. And again, it's nice when it's kind of like how we've been talking about like films versus series. You know, we watch to binge watch an 8-hour movie sometimes, again, gives them a lot more flexibility to explore different things. And I kind of feel like this one sort of also did that. It accomplishes the same thing. So yeah, I'll give it to that one.
That is actually an excellent one to say. I kind of feel the same way. I really like what they did with the lore, and I thought that it was a great way for them to expand on the very things that we just took for granted in the first ones that they were trying to get across in the first ones. I liked that, so yeah, I'm going to agree with you completely. For me, and you know what, you call this whatever the hell you want to call this, pandering. Whatever. I miss you, Harold Ramis. It was nice of you to give yourself and your time to this project. I'm so pleased. And, you gave it your all. You gave your voice. You gave your comedy. How am I supposed to complain about that, my brother? How am I supposed to complain about that?
I'm so glad you mentioned that too, by the way, because I kind of did the same thing. When I first watched this, again, I kind of forgot when he died. I forgot when the game came out. So when it started to play, and it started out with, by the way, in memory of Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was part of the game. Was it that close to his death that the game came out, or if maybe the guy who put the video together just put that.
No.
So I kind of.
I can tell you exactly what that was. What happened was the game originally came out in 2009. He died in 2014. This video, the graphics that he used is from a recently released remastered version of the game, where they basically upped the graphics level, because this was originally released back in the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 days.
Okay.
So yeah, the graphics that you're seeing are based on what was at the time the modern consoles. So
okay.
So with the remaster, they gave him one. So
Gotcha.
yeah, I when I saw that, I was like, I'm giving it to Ramis. So I was gonna give it to Aykroyd and Ramis, because they had this larger playing field to play with. You can just see just how much thought they went into the creation of this world. And
yeah,
we still have Aykroyd. So I just wanted to stop for a moment and give it to Ramis, because he really is an unsung piece of the Ghostbusters legacy to most people. Okay, yes, okay, he's Egon. Okay,
yeah.
To everybody, he's Egon, but this is just proof positive just how integral he was to the creation of this universe. And I just want to make sure he gets his due.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, I'm with you completely. And honestly, when I first saw his name pop up, I kind of had that moment. I'm like, oh, was this after he died? I wasn't sure. So as soon as I heard his actual voice, I kind of lit up, and I was very relieved and very happy that I was going to get to hear a little bit of him. So yeah, I agree.
Ghostbusters, the video game.
Just once. I wouldn't mind running with these other fools away from each other.
Where's the fun in that?
Coming June 2009.
Wow, you know what that means? That ends the review of all things currently Ghostbusters. I mean, we could go back to the Commodore 64 video game if you want.
No, I think we did our good deed. Hey Ray, what's going on, brother? Hope we kind of nailed that one for you. And listen, it was a fun experiment. I certainly wouldn't make a habit of it, but it was interesting, and I liked that it sort of challenged us to figure out how we were going to review it, how we were going to judge it, etc. So, okay, interesting experiment.
I agree. And I have no regrets about it, to be honest with you. I liked it a lot. I liked the game a lot. And I liked the story a lot. So there we go. And you were much nicer to it than I thought you were going to be. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Well, again, like I said, I listen, I'm not going to pounce on it because it's a little weird and, because of what it is, it's disjointed and unusual. Listen, I thought, just be fair and judge it for what it is, and that's exactly what we did.
Fair enough, my man. And I thought you did excellent. And
thank you.
That was a haul, but we did it. And you know what? I think we need to be more reflective. I think we need to be thankful. Not only that we're back together as a team, not only that we're doing these reviews, not only that we got to experience this, amazing, nearly amazing series, minus one. You know which one I'm talking about. I don't think we have to go into that. That in this time of Thanksgiving and in this time of not really being able to travel the way we used to, I feel that next week's movie is apropos. Because next week, ladies and gentlemen, Joe and I only decided this earlier today, we're going to do a special one. We're going to review the classic John Hughes movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for Thanksgiving.
And what a refreshing break that will be. I think that's a great idea. I'm so glad you thought of it. And I'm very much looking forward to that one.
Me too, my man. Thank you so much. Thank you to Ray for pushing for this and for getting us in this. And I am thankful, sir, that you are doing well and getting better, and that we will continue to have a good time doing this. Thank you.
Same here, brother. Same here. I'm looking forward to the next one.
I am too. So until then, next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. Hope you enjoyed my son's review of Ghostbusters too.
I know I did. Thank you, my brother, and I will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode, and be sure to check out the Reviews Without Remorse channel on YouTube for spoiler-free reviews of new releases. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider becoming a Patreon. You can find our page on patreon.com/reviewswithoutremorse, one word. As little as $1 a month goes a long way. All clips in this podcast are for commentary and critique and is considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.